Happy Saturday, April the 20th, everyone. Hunter here again at Weather on the Go. And in today's weather forecast, the coldest air of the spring season, which could bring frost and freeze conditions for the rest of this weekend. We'll also be looking at some heavy rainfall this weekend, especially across the south and the southeast. We'll break down the setup, the timing, and how much rain you can expect as well. And we'll look ahead to another multi-day severe weather outbreak looming starting late in the week and moving into the next weekend. We'll be diving into all the details that you need to know in today's weather forecast. Hey, if you are new here to Weather on the Go, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We'll keep you covered on your weather forecast throughout the year. Also, be sure to press the like button down below, the thumbs up button. It helps out more than you know. And if you want to follow me on social media at Twitter or X at HWeather420, the link for that will be down below in the description. Also, follow me on Facebook. I have a new Facebook page at Weather on the Go. You can also follow me there at the link in the description below the video. I definitely appreciate it. So let's get here into the weather forecast. We have some freeze warnings up across the Midwest, back into the Central Plains here into Nebraska this morning, and we also have freeze watches over here into portions of Ohio, western PA, and northern West Virginia as well. That's because we have a strong cold front this morning that did bring a lot of colder air. Look at the below normal temperature anomalies across the north central U.S. here, especially the upper Midwest into the high plains. We're 25 degrees below normal with our temperature anomalies this morning. Let's look at our temperatures as we woke up and went out the door here as well. Look at the hard freeze conditions across the high plains, the upper Midwest, some frost areas down here and toward the lower Midwest. Temperatures sub-freezing through much of Iowa, Wisconsin, back up here into Minnesota, both of the Dakotas here, getting into Nebraska, back into Wyoming and Montana, even parts of Idaho getting very chilly here this morning. So definitely bundle up if you're headed out the door. And even for Sunday morning, that cold front is still progressing further to the south and east, so more of those below normal temperature anomalies will be spreading closer toward the southern plains and near the Gulf Coast as we go into your Sunday morning. And you wake up Sunday morning for church services or running any errands out there, yes, almost a repeat of what we saw today in the same areas, although it's a little bit cooler further to the south into the 40s and 50s down near the Gulf Coast. Sub-freezing temperatures again for the upper Midwest, the high plains, and the northern Rockies. Make sure to cover up those sensitive plants out there so they don't get damaged from the frost and freezes that we do see. Looking at precip chances through the weekend for today, we have a stationary boundary setting up from around the Houston, Beaumont region through portions of Lake Charles and over here into Hattiesburg, Mississippi. To the north of that boundary, that's where we're going to start to see more of those shower and storm chances as we go through the day. Looking at the precipitable water values, they're pretty high, up to around an inch and a half down here into Texas, especially north and central Texas, into eastern Texas, and moving near the Gulf Coast here through the day. So looking at the timing for your chances of rain through the morning, we're going to have scattered showers and storms. And if you get under one of these showers or storms, you will be definitely seeing some potential for heavy rainfall through the morning. More organized activity developing across west central Texas this afternoon. That will slide through the Dallas-Fort Worth area down toward Abilene and even San Antonio as we go through the afternoon. Going into tonight, we see a heavy rainfall swath from around the Greenville and Natchez, Mississippi region, back through Monroe, Shreveport, and down to Lake Charles, and then all the way down through Houston and into the Corpus Christi area. Could be seeing some heavier showers and storms as we go through tonight on your Saturday night. Then moving ahead to Sunday, you can see the surface map. The front doesn't move that far south. It gets hung up near the Gulf Coast, but we still see moisture pumping in from the Gulf of Mexico here into the southeast U.S. on your Sunday, and those precipitable water values, again, especially for Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida, actually over an inch here. So definitely seeing a lot of that being wrung out in the form of rainfall. So Sunday morning, heading out to any church services or running any errands out here across portions of Alabama, Georgia, getting into eastern Tennessee, and also the Carolinas, we could be dealing with some moderate to heavy pockets of rain there for Sunday morning. Going into Sunday afternoon, we lighten up the rain a little bit. The heaviest rains will be in southern Georgia and North Florida, but still a nice rainfall shield across the Carolinas, even southern Virginia there for Sunday afternoon. And then going into Sunday night, we start clearing out as that front finally makes its way off the southeast coast, and most of the U.S. at this point will be dry heading into Sunday night tomorrow night. Let's look here at the rainfall amounts across portions of the country, because a heavy rainfall swath will be setting up from Texas all the way eastward through the Carolinas, and you can see the heaviest of amounts will be across East Texas, along and east of the I-35 corridor, east to Dallas-Fort Worth, into places like Tyler, Texas, into the Shreveport region and Monroe here into Louisiana, across southern Arkansas, stretching over toward the Natchez area and over toward Jackson, Mississippi. That's where we could have a swath of locally 2 to 4, even 5 inches worth of rain through your Sunday night time frame. And this could lead to a period of some flash flooding as we have training showers and storms redeveloping over and moving over the same areas over and over again through your Sunday morning commute here. So a slight risk of flash flooding is in place across most of Texas Hill Country here into northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and into central Mississippi, and very far western portions of Alabama through your Sunday morning time frame. Heading into next week, a major pattern change is in the offing here. You can see a trough up here across portions of the upper Midwest. This will keep us cool to start the week, but a ridge begins to develop out west. It's going to be kind of squashed down to the south because of this trough in the north. So early on in the week, still kind of below normal out east and above normal temperatures out west with that ridge developing. As we go into the middle of next week, notice the ridge begins to build stronger further to the north. Warmer temperatures do lie ahead for us as we get toward that Wednesday time frame during the middle of next week. And then by late next week, look at the pattern here. We have a ridge out east and a trough out west. And it is late April, so this means stormy conditions will be returning with that battleground going on in the middle of the country, with the colder air trying to move east and the warmer air trying to stay east. So we're definitely keeping an eye on that as we go into late week. Looking at our temperature anomalies here. So with this, you can see colder temperatures out east with below normal temperature anomalies to start the week. Warmer temperature anomalies above average across the west as that ridge starts to develop. As we go into the middle of the week, we start to see more normal to slightly below normal temperatures still out east, but the warmer air is on the move toward the Great Plains. So definitely seeing that by the Wednesday time frame. And then finally by late next week, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday, we'll start to see more warmer air out east and cooler air out west with that trough moving in. So we'll have a trough out west bringing us cooler temperatures, a ridge out east bringing us warmer temperatures by later on in the week. Let's look at our precipitation chances through next week. Pretty dry on Monday, not really any meaningful precipitation unless you're in south central Florida. Could be seeing some scattered showers and storms there on Monday. Those likely will not be severe. Going into Tuesday, a little bit of a disturbance in the Great Lakes could bring us a quick moving cold front with some showers, maybe a thunderstorm through the Chicagoland area. Down there into, say, Quincy, Illinois, back up there through portions of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Detroit. Not really any severe weather expected with that. Not much instability to work with. Going into Wednesday, that disturbance may bring us some wet weather across the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic there, and maybe some wet weather there with some showers and storms as we return moisture northward from the western Gulf of Mexico into the Great Plains on Wednesday. Can't rule out an isolated severe threat, maybe a marginal risk day of severe weather on Wednesday, but overall a low threat for severe weather. Going into Thursday, there's the low pressure system, Lee cyclogenesis. We have a low pressure system on the northeast side there of Colorado, and that means a warm front will be draped across the central plains into the Midwest, and then a cold front dry line starting to develop across the western plains there on Thursday. Even stronger that low gets on Friday, 988 millibars, warm front trying to fight further to the north, and then we have the dry line starting to move east. Definitely a more volatile environment as we go toward that Thursday, but especially that Friday time frame. Let's look at the moisture with this. Look at all the rainfall we could be seeing with our new storm here. From the upper Midwest down through the Midwest here and into the central southern plains, widespread amounts here of 1 to 3 inches with locally higher amounts than that possible through that 5-day period. And most of this will actually be occurring Thursday into Friday, the 25th into the 26th of April across these regions. And the Storm Prediction Center is already confident 6 days ahead of time for severe weather. A level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather from central Kansas down into western western Oklahoma, northwest Texas around the Dodge City region, all the way down toward Elk City and Lawton, Fort Sill in Oklahoma, down into Vernon and Wichita Falls, Texas on Thursday. You can see the moisture return out of the Gulf of Mexico all the way up there into perhaps southern portions of Nebraska. Dew points will be in the 50s and 60s. You can see the dry line cold front starting to develop there across the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and western Kansas. Looking ahead of that dry line cold front, we can see dew points rising into the 50s, 60s. Instability will also be moderate to strong, so definitely starting to see a lot of unstable air coming northward, and we're also seeing a decent signal for a low-level jet across especially Kansas, Oklahoma, and northwest Texas in that slight risk area. But there is a caveat. Once again, last time we saw this occur, the drought was a major problem with our severe weather setup. Look at New Mexico, folks. We have an extreme, severe, even exceptional drought out here, especially in southern, southeastern New Mexico. Our flow on the trough, our 500 millibar mid-level jet, is coming out of that direction from Arizona and New Mexico and West Texas up through the plains. And when you see that, that's what you call an elevated mix layer, an EML, or a cap on the atmosphere. When you see all of your air moving over top of a drought, there's not much moisture in the ground down here into Arizona, New Mexico, or West Texas. So that could actually be a problem for our severe weather setup on Thursday. And you can see that already noted on the European forecast model. During the day on Thursday, notice there's really not any thunderstorm activity that develops. And that is likely due to that capping inversion or that elevated mix layer, that EML, being in place across the western plains on Thursday. Even Thursday night, there's just not enough forcing for that to overcome the cap. Unless you're up near the warm front into the Hawkeye state of Iowa, we have to watch out for some stronger storms potentially as that warm front lifts north. Those would likely be hail producers, as those are more elevated thunderstorms, not surface based. We'll keep an eye on that. Friday is looking to be the bigger day for severe weather, already a large slight risk. This is 7 days out, folks, here, and the Storm Prediction Center already giving us a 2 out of 5, a slight risk of severe weather from Iowa, including the Des Moines area, back through Cedar Rapids into the Quad Cities, Davenport region, into western Illinois, Galesburg, down there toward Quincy and Hannibal. Getting into Missouri, so the Columbia, Jefferson City, Springfield area, into Kansas City, into eastern Nebraska there, into East Kansas, including Topeka and Wichita, down there into northeastern Oklahoma, into Tulsa there, perhaps even the Oklahoma City area, and northwestern Arkansas, Fayetteville, down to Fort Smith. So that's the area we're watching as we go into Friday, April 26th. Same thing here, dry line cold front further to the west, although the warm front now lifting up into Minnesota and southern Wisconsin, seeing more of those 60-degree dew points further to the north into Iowa, even northern Illinois on Friday. Instability going way far to the north, almost to the United States and Canadian border here. That's how far north our unstable air mass goes by Friday. Even stronger low-level jet around 50, 60 knots up here, overlapping a lot of that moisture and instability. So severe weather will not have a problem developing on Friday. Look at this, supercell thunderstorms from the upper Midwest down into the lower Midwest here and into the southern plains will be possible from Oklahoma City, perhaps all the way to Chicago and all the way up there in toward Des Moines, Iowa as we go through the day on Friday. This could start to become more linear as we get that low-level jet to really crank up Friday night. A QLCS line of all hazards, hail, wind, and tornadoes along the leading edge of this line of storms as it crosses through the Midwest and down here through the mid-Missouri Valley as we go through Friday night. And rightfully so, the active pattern does continue. As we go into Saturday here, another low-pressure system develops across the Rockies. That will kick out across the Central Plains, a 999 millibar low here by Sunday. Another cold front dry line setup, this time a little bit further to the east, so maybe the capping inversion is not as intense here as it's a little bit further away from that drought there in New Mexico. We'll keep an eye on it because our instability, your surface-based CAPE, convective, available potential energy is moderate down here in the southern plains by Saturday and stays moderate but moves further north into the Midwest by Sunday. So you can see here Saturday night, more showers and storms, likely seeing severe weather across the mid and lower Mississippi Valley down into the southern plains. And then we go Sunday into Sunday night, more widespread across the Mississippi Valley here and along down here toward the southern plains. So a busy next several days once we get to later on in the week. And rightfully so as well. Here is severe weather climatology for late April, and you can see the bullseye down here across Oklahoma and North Texas, and that's a lot of the area that will be impacted by the potential for severe weather moving forward through later on in the week. Hey, we will keep you covered here. Make sure to press the subscribe button down below. We'll keep you covered with all of this and much more throughout the year. Be sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. Follow me on Twitter or X. Link is in the description below. Follow me on Facebook as well. The link is in the description below the video. I do appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend out there.